Hi, welcome to another edition of In the Clubhouse. People who want to get into baseball have to really toe a large path. They've got to get their credits in school. They've got to do every job they can for a minor league club. You may be in Dubuque, Iowa, or Wichita, Kansas. It doesn't matter. You got to pay your dues. Today, we're talking with the president of the Reno Aces, Eric Edelstein, and he's going to fill us all in on what it takes to get to the top and how to stay there and what people should do. So with that, welcome, Eric.
Hey, thank you very much. It's good. It's good to be here and happy to chat with you this afternoon.
Eric, you, as we were talking earlier, you went to Bowling Green and you managed, your major is in sports management. And take me from there, after you got out of school, what happened?
Well, so I think, my journey really begins even before school, and that my high school had something called senior project, which was if you could get an internship your last month of high school, you didn't have to go to class anymore and you just graduated. And I got that internship with the Cleveland Indians, Guardians now, but the Cleveland baseball team. And so all the while I was going through Bowling Green, getting my sport management degree, I was working at Jacobs Field all through the summers, even some of the winters, and did a number of various jobs throughout the ballpark over those years. And so I was building my skills and relationships and understanding the industry all while I was at Bowling Green earning my degree.
Wow. And was it you went 4 years to Bowling Green, correct?
Yep. Yeah. 4 years. It was a sport organization management major with a sport enterprise emphasis, which really just means that we didn't talk about players or coaching or scouting. This was a business degree focused on the business of sports, which is what I was looking for. I think a lot of people assumed I was studying to be a gym teacher. And when I told them, no, there's a real business out there. You don't have to convince people of that in 2022. And in the mid 90s, you still had to convince people that sports was a real business and a viable career. There were very few people who intended to go into sports. Most people fell into it. And so I feel like I was in that first generation of people that were seeking sports as a career path.
Do you think today, as opposed to, let's say, 20 years ago in the mid 90s, the sports management for minor league teams has changed a lot? Meaning you have more staff now. It's not the old cigar chomping guy, as the quote general manager or whatever. Do you see a big change in from when you first started?
100%. Yes. I mean, I think all sports has evolved tremendously. Minor league baseball is not immune to that. If you look hard for it, can you still find a cigar chomping old school? There are still teams that exist that way. There's still some small clubs that haven't evolved, haven't grown. But I think in general, to be successful in the industry now, or any industry really, it all applies, whether it's sports or any other business, is you have to continue to grow, learn what's current, be on the forefront of what's emerging, and be intelligent about what you're doing. We definitely have more staff than we had, back, when I started 20 plus years ago. But we also have more revenue, and we have more expensive venues, and we have higher expectations from our community and from our industry. So with higher expectations comes more specialization and just in general, more sophistication in running the business.
Now, you guys draw pretty well for minor league team. I know Reno's not a big city, but you outdraw some of the other clubs. Sacramento draws really well too. I know Johnny Doskow real well, and we talk about that quite a bit. It's more of a challenge, I think, in the smaller markets than some of the larger markets. Trying to get people butts in the seats, so to speak.
Well, it's all relative to me. I think we're the smallest market in AAA baseball. We're far from the smallest market in minor league baseball. So I think in the last report, there's 30 AAA teams, and we were 19th in attendance. Well, we're the smallest market, so every slot above last is we're out punching our weight. So I'm thrilled to be thrilled to be in that spot because we do have a smaller market. I've always worked in small markets relative to the industry, to the league. So I mean, growing up in Cleveland, like that, I love the underdog mentality. I think that's been a key to how I've stayed where I've stayed and been in the chairs I've been in is a willingness to outwork. I don't even know what I would do if I got the brightest, shiniest thing and the biggest budget. To me, it wouldn't be fun to be given the most money and then told to win it all. And then that's the expectation. I'd much rather be smaller, more nimble, and have to be creative. And like I said, I'd rather celebrate being 19th in the smallest market than being the top attended team in the largest market.
Well, you have a good fan base. I know I've been to some of your games, and the people love it. They obviously love the giveaways, but these people are pretty hardcore when they're there. And it's usually what is your average attendance per night this year?
This year we're a little under 4,500. Our goal was to get back to 5,000 average this year, which is where we were prior to COVID. We're trending much higher. We always trend higher. As the summer goes, just with our climate here. So we're in striking distance of where we want to be when this year's over.
You mean people don't want to come out when it's 35 degrees in Reno in April?
we struggle a little bit. And admittedly, when the weather's nice, they turn out. When it's not, they don't. But that's a given for everywhere. This business is all about the pre-sale. And are you able to generate the group revenue to make a night something special? And, we had a huge night where the high was 52 or 53, but we had done such a good job pre-selling groups that we still had a huge night because the tickets were purchased long before a forecast could impact anyone's decisions. And they still came out and had a great time. So again, to me, it's the sophistication of the business is we have to have, I call it's the 20-mile march it's the Jim Collins book, Great by Choice. Talks about the 20-mile march of making sure you're doing the 20-mile march every single day. Don't do 19, don't do 21. Just consistently do the right things every single day. And those nights magically happen, but they happen because you've done the right things every day.
Let's talk about what kids should do if they want to get into a position like you're in, or broadcasting, or anything to do with sports. What is your advice to a kid, say, just coming out of Nevada, Reno, that wants to get into sports? What would you recommend, and what would you tell them?
Well, so my first advice to anyone is, as soon as you are interested or you think you're interested, start. There's nothing more heartbreaking to me than a college senior who hasn't used their college career to build any internships or experiences or skill sets. So as soon as you think you think you might want to do this, start. And start means call everyone and just build circles around where you live. Go 30 miles out, 60 miles out, as far out as you're comfortable. Figure out how many teams, companies, venues are in that space and start calling those people and going and talking to them, asking them questions and asking them where they need help and what you can do for them. And to me, it's really that simple to start, and everyone will take the time with you. Most people will take the time with you. And then from there, it's about showing up. The only magic that I think I've grabbed onto in my entire career is I've just kept showing up every single day, relentlessly, every role from the start. Scheduled, not scheduled, doesn't matter. I just kept showing up, and eventually people started giving me important things to do. And when I did those well, they gave me more important things to do. But none of it happens if I'm not dogged in my determination and just continuing to show up every day. So find a door that'll open, and then don't let it close on you.
What about working for, like, so if somebody's at UNR or any school, Fresno State, Sacramento State, would you tell the kids to, hey, just go bug the people in sports, the football team, the baseball team, the girls softball team, water polo? Would you tell them to bug them and try and get in that way?
I think it depends. What I'd say is, like, if there's an area you want to get into, I say go do it. Like, when people interview with us and they say, well, my real goal is to be in the major leagues, my response is just go there then. Like you might start at a smaller role. You might have to be a janitor, but if you want to end up somewhere, you have to go get exposure in that place. So if you know where you want to go there now and figure out your way in. Don't find those stepping stones necessarily. If you're like me, first I was going to be a player, then I was going to be a broadcaster. I realized I didn't have talent to do either. So then it was just about getting into the business. And I don't even think I knew what that meant, but I just started showing up. And then from there, I'd say get different experiences. So what benefited me again was just showing up and being around different parts of the business. But all through college, even after college, I think a lot of students and kids feel a lot of pressure to, that those early choices are super important. And the reality is I don't think the early choices are all that important as long as you get some benefit out of them. But it's just making the choice, getting into it, putting yourself in the arena, and then starting to learn as you go about which areas you may or may not like. Even areas you don't like will end up being useful. Sorry to say, not every day in sports is awesome and fun. I just got done with a 45-minute snafu that was approving Amex charges on an Excel spreadsheet. So that stuff still happens in sports, no different than any other business. So there's always going to be parts of the job that are less exciting than others.
What's the best part of your job that you like?
The event, plain and simple. The event. Everything we do comes to life. So it's different than selling radio or TV and the X many million homes saw this. Yeah, but I can't see those millions of homes. I see what we do. It happens right over my shoulder. I see the people who come. I can see the expressions in their faces. I see the players. I know if we're doing a good job or a poor job because it comes to life every single day. So bar none, my favorite part of the job is the event. So being in season during a homestand is by far my happiest place.
You teach too at UNR, Nevada, Reno. You teach a course, correct?
Correct. Yes. They started a sport management minor just this past year. And I was fortunate enough to be asked to teach the event management class, which was really a treat.
How is it talking to the kids? Do they get a kick out of hearing from you, or are they like a sponge? They want to absorb everything?
Very, very much the sponge part. My goal in teaching the class, I say sometimes I run the class almost like a staff meeting. My goal is in the class is to get them I've got my learning outcomes that, Nevada higher education needs me to teach them. But in between the lines there, to me, it's all about educating them on how this is applicable to you in your career and making sure that these students are getting real life experience, that they're not just listening to me, but I try to have a different speaker every single class and people from all over the sports industry, different areas, different levels, all talk about their experiences. And honestly, my goal is to try to demystify the industry as much as you can, that we're real people doing real work in real offices. And yeah, every once in a while, something super exciting or sexy or high profile shows up. But much like athletes, most of the work gets done in the shadows. Yep. And you've got to learn to love. You got to love the work to be successful, because there aren't enough of those high profile moments to make you want to get up and do the work when no one's watching.
It's almost like you have to keep, I'm going to use a quote, the apple polished to make it work correctly and get where you want to get, meaning you want it the best at all times. Obviously that doesn't happen, but your goal is to try and be A1 from every game, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, again, we're in sports, so it's easy to use the sports analogy, but it's the intensity of, just because I got it right yesterday doesn't mean we'll get it right tomorrow. So it's doing the daily march. It's practicing. It's looking at, and I've said all winter long, everything we do is kind of in 1 hour increments. We have a marketing meeting, and then we have a sponsorship meeting, then we have a ticket sales meeting. But once the gates open on opening day, it all happens at once. And there isn't enough time if I haven't prepared our organization properly. There isn't enough time for me to be in all the places that need to be. So it's all about it's all about building it out so that when it's showtime, we are A1 every single day, and then we can deal with those moments of, if we slip to a B or a C somewhere, we can identify those and quickly address them.
Well, in sports, especially baseball, you hear the adage. I've never seen that before. I'm sure that's the same way in sports management. You come across stuff that you're like, I've never seen or had that before. What do we do now? You gotta think on your feet.
There are endless amounts of we've never seen it before. What are we going to do here? And you're dealing with people. That's the part too. Like, our product is people, which makes it unique from the start. Your product on the field is human beings that are in search of their own career and their own goals. And we're all here to watch them toil at their job. And then, we have individual people who come in, and on any given day, they could be having the best or worst day of their life. And that interaction becomes something that we have to manage ourselves through. And there's constantly first. I think that's also part of why I think the event is my favorite part, because it's the most challenging part, because there's always going to be something you've never seen before. And you don't have time to go research it, call a meeting, have a think tank. No, you're in the moment. What do we do right now? How do we handle it? And that's probably my favorite part of the event. And it's not always bad things.
Right.
It can be, we've been coming, we got down early and we're coming back. How is our production team engaging our crowd to feel the momentum of the team coming back? How do we build toward this comeback so that people walk away going, oh my God, this was just the best thing, that's ever happened. It works both ways in just how do we take a negative and make it into a positive? How do we make something that's going well go even better? And doing it all real time, literally as the plane's flying, we're playing mechanic.
I'm 63 now, and I've been to thousands of sporting events. And some of the best times I've ever had were at college games and minor league games, because you have to, like you said, you have to keep things going, keep the people entertained, and make them want to come back and go, wow, that was the greatest time we had with my kids. I truly enjoy the minor leagues because, you can see the guys are hungry to get to the majors. And I guess they're not quite, well, some are, but they're not poisoned, especially in college, like they are when they get to the majors. And that's not a slam at them. It's just that, once you get to the majors, everything is done for you. Your bags are taken to your room. You don't have to do anything. But to see the minors is such a treat. It's a lot of fun, and the people are having a great time. It doesn't matter if you're low A or triple A or independent league. People who go love baseball.
For sure. No, we get to provide it's an important service to our communities, that otherwise wouldn't have professional baseball to be seen. And, I take that obligation very seriously, that, it's our job to help entertain our community.
That is awesome. What now? Let's say the season ends today. What is the off season like in minor league baseball? What do you guys? You're obviously preparing for next year, but after everybody's had their week or two off, what starts to transpire for 2023?
So first, the business has really changed over the 20 plus years. The idea of that week or two off, like, that's not really a thing anymore. I mean, we're a 12-month business that just plays baseball 6 of those months. And so we work really diligently to try and encourage people to take their time when it's best for them, independent of what's going on the baseball schedule. Now, do we need to be here on the weekends when our stadium is full? Yes, we do. But I would rather someone take a vacation in July when the team's on the road, then everybody decide to take the month of October off. That'll put us further back. So we really work a 12-month schedule. We're talking here in early June. We've already started the renewal process for season tickets in our internal meetings. We plan to roll out season ticket renewals on August 1st. We've already started sponsorship renewal meetings for next year. So there's really like a dual track of the business. There's the games that happen over a 6-month period, and they take X amount of resources to put those games on. But then we have the backbone of the business, which the goal is to, in the olden days, I'd say 20 years ago, when the team was out of town, we were down here. When the team was up, when the team was in town, we were here all the time, burning ourselves out, working so crazy. Our goal here is to try to find more of a middle ground where you don't go to sleep when the team's out of town, but you're also not wearing yourself out, to the hilt when the team is in town, and trying to find more balance, because you get better productivity and better enjoyment from your employees, and keeping people longer term is important. The more balance we can give them, the longer we keep them, and that's better for our business.
You don't want burnout at all, because working, like you said, game after game, after a while, and you're into the off season, you can get burnout. Baseball's great, but you need to breathe for once, for a couple of days.
We work really hard at that to try and balance the needs of the business, which are large and very time consuming, but not wear people out in a way that that's not beneficial. For example, our leadership team, I mean, it's really small potatoes in the grand scheme, but our leadership team, each member, me and 3 others, we each get one of the games off per homestand. That doesn't sound like a lot, but the idea of me missing a game even 10 years ago would have been unfathomable, that I would go home while we're playing a game. But it is amazing just how much that one evening can keep you energized through the whole homestand.
Yeah, I know it's a lot. It's a grind, it's like they say, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And you got to keep your sanity come late August and September, when it's the dog days and you're nearing the end, and you're telling everybody, we can't wait to see you for 2023.
Well, and we have to turn the page and be energetic about it too. So if it's August and we're trying to get people excited about next year, we can't be dragging.
Right.
We have to have our energy levels up. So, the more I've been in the business, the less it is about the business and the more it is about the people. And it's just making sure that all your people are as comfortable as they can be in the roles that they're in, that the expectations are clear, that the support is deep for them, and that they know when they have to be on and then when they can be off. As an example, we've gone out of our way to explain to people the things they need to do for themselves, so that when when they are out of the office, no one bothers them. And it's simple, stupid stuff, but changing your voicemail, letting your department know via calendar invite that you're out of the office. We won't bother you if we know you're taking a day off. But if we don't know, then we're going to probably interrupt you, which is going to impact your enjoyment of that day off, which is going to, ultimately lead to a more stressful work environment and burnout. So it's trying to take baby steps, but it's focusing on your people and making sure that they have the support they need, and the encouragement that, you may see me here 80 hours a week, but I don't need you to be here 80 hours a week. And it's not a contest. We're not clocking hours here. Just be here as long as you need to be to get the job accomplished.
It sounds like the more, the further along we get in years here, that teams like the Aces are really looking after their front office people. It's not, in the 70s, it was like anybody could, get into baseball, you're pushing a broom or whatever. But now it seems like you're taking care of your people, so you avoid the trappings of burnout and people getting irritated and not wanting to do their job. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a good thing.
It's a great thing. It's overdue. And I mean, I think, COVID accelerated that for all industries, but there's an idea here that, it's hard to have a family and work in sports, and it is. There's no doubt about it, but it should be possible. There should be a way to make it work. You shouldn't have to miss your kids, sporting events or, t-ball games. Those are things that we can manage through. And again, it all comes down to expectations and performance. Is just as long as everybody's aligned on what needs to be achieved, we don't have to spend time on exactly how you achieve it. We just have to spend time on what is the outcome. And as long as the outcome is right, then, live your life. And that's admittedly very different than how I was brought up in the industry, when we did count hours and we did take note on who was there late and who left early. And that probably wasn't a very healthy environment, but I think it was very standard for the late 90s, early 2000s.
Sleeping in the clubhouse sometimes when the team is coming back from a long road trip and you got to get ready for a game, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, let's go off topic here real quick, and I'm going to let you go. Obviously you're from Cleveland, so Cleveland Stadium, yay. Do you miss the mistake by the lake?
I mean, I loved it. I didn't know any different as a kid, so I thought it was Disneyland. You couldn't have told me that there was a better place in the world than Cleveland Stadium. Funny stories. I remember as a kid, my mom bought me a book, Dodger Dogs to Fenway Franks. This is, before the internet. It was a review of every Major League Baseball stadium. And I couldn't wait to read about Cleveland. And I mean, I think Cleveland at the time might have been rated only above Exhibition Stadium in Toronto at the time. And I was just heartbroken that it was so poorly viewed, because I just thought it was the greatest place on earth.
I've been to Cleveland Stadium several times. I was there right after the last Browns game in January of '96 before they tore it down. And this is going to sound simplistic, but it was what it was. It was no frills, it was bare bones. There weren't the giant luxury suites. There weren't all the craft beers and everything else. But, when these places, these old ballparks, like Old Tiger Stadium in Detroit, you went there to watch baseball. You didn't go there to be seen on TV behind home plate waving and having your sushi or whatever. You went there to have a hot dog and a beer in the Stadium Mustard in Cleveland and enjoy the game, whether it's the Indians or the Browns or even the Cavs when they played at the old arena in Cleveland on Euclid Avenue.
Yep. No, that's exactly right. But the business has evolved and the expectations have evolved. And as much as, I look romantically back at those times of how enjoyable that was, like, I also understand that, it's good for all of us in this industry that the industry continues to grow, because it gives more and more people viable career paths. And even in some cases, opportunities to wealth that just didn't exist. So, I'm glad for the evolution. I'm glad that it's grown, but I did enjoy those days.
My last question, are you eventually looking to get into the majors, or do you want to stay in the minor leagues?
My goal all along was to run a minor league baseball team, and I got that fairly early. I've taken on larger teams. I've never reset my goal. I've never readjusted for what I want to do next. And I've always said, I think it's disrespectful to the role that I'm sitting in to say that there's something next, because that sounds like there's an assumption that I get to stay here as long as I want. And that's just not true. I only get to stay here as long as I perform and as long as I deliver results. So I'm always flattered by the question of what's next and what else, but I have too much respect for my owner and the opportunity that I have here. If something comes along that's bigger, faster, stronger, I'd look at it like anybody else. But I love what I do, and that's why I've been in the places I've been for, continuing extending periods of time, because I really enjoy the job and just focused on making this place better every day.
I think that's a great answer. I wish more people had your mindset on stuff like that. Because you always get the people that are like, well, I'm just here temporarily till I get to da 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 da. That 9 times out of 10 that does not work.
Well, here's the thing: we're all temporary in this world.
Right. Exactly.
So you can be temporary. You know what? Other people can determine when your temporary is up. So I focus on trying to make sure that those decisions are mine and not someone else's. And that begins and ends with doing a good job each day and caring deeply about the role that you're in, which would be my last piece of advice to anyone trying to work in the sports industry is, you're never going to get the next role without just really doing a great job at the role you're in. So love it, embrace it, be the very best you can at it. No one plays harder when the paycheck is bigger. That's just not the way that the human psyche works. You do great things and then the reward comes later.
That's a great piece of advice, and people should really absolutely follow that. In life, unless you're a billionaire, your dad's a billionaire, nothing is handed to you. You got to earn everything. Like you said, you got to start at the bottom and work your way up. And if you do good things will happen to you.
Almost all the time.
Yes. Eric, I really appreciate the time, and maybe next year we'll do this again to see how things are going. He is Eric Edelstein, the president of the Reno Aces. If you're in Reno, by all means, go to the downtown ballpark, Greater Nevada Field. It's a great ballpark, and you're going to have a great time. It's a fun afternoon or evening. Eric, thanks a lot. I appreciate having you on here.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you. As always, remember, take the road to the left. You never know what you'll find.